Hey there, just gonna, Noah Adams made a video. Noah, I'm gonna post this on this video here, because I don't want to be coming at you too hard here, but I do want you to know that a big part of the reason why I embrace presuppositional apologetics, a part of it, not all of it, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but was your deconversion from Christianity. So that's why I'm kind of dealing with you here. And you made this video response to James and Jeff Durbin, James White and Jeff Durbin, and they won't respond to you, probably not, because Noah, can you please tell us? You say here that you don't need to, that we can have a good conversation without knowing your rational presuppositions. How? How do we know where you're coming from at all? It's you're being a coward, Noah. You say we can pick up snippets like you're some mysterious person here. What? I've heard you say, I think, when you were talking with the argument from unbelief, which is kind of silly, by the way, that you had with TBS. The argument from unbelief that you're a postmodernist, and then you do kind of accept the label. You say, let's run with the label of they said you're agnostic, so you seem to be saying, well, let's go with that. You're an agnostic. Okay, so an agnostic. I would approach, see, the thing is, Noah, you're saying it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can assume we can assume certain laws of logic from any position I'm coming from. No, you can't. If you're a metaphysical naturalist, if you're an agnostic, you can't assume that, Noah. If everything, if you're an agnostic, let's say see, that's the thing too, Noah. If we don't know where you're coming from, then we can't explain to you from your position why we believe what we do. Okay. Now you can show internal critiques within presuppositional apologetics. But I want to know where you're coming from and what basis this rational critique is coming from. So yes, there are times when I look at the Christian worldview and I see issues and problems. But I will tell you this: when I was an empirical verificationist, what I would consider metaphysical naturalist, someone who just kind of believed the physical world was it and science was pretty much the only way to know things, that was a mess. That was 10 times worse than the Christian worldview, way worse. So that's why we need to know. Yes, there are issues in the Christian worldview that I go, wow, how does this work? There's times I think, oh, this doesn't make sense in ways in the Christian worldview. But when I was in metaphysical naturalism or empirical verificationism, that was 100 times worse. So that's why we want to know. So, or if a Muslim comes at me, I'm going, okay, I do see some issues here in the Christian worldview. What's your opinion? What's your option to it? And they'll give me theirs, and I go, that's 100 times worse than what I'm at right now in my spiritual journey. So that's why we want to know. That's why I want to know. Okay, so I would approach an agnostic very differently than I approach maybe your soft atheist. Is that, there's all the different categories they have. That's a different approach than a hard atheist, than a soft atheist, from an agnostic. There's all these different approaches, and we'd have to define where you're coming from. Now, there's some similarities all in between those three, but that's why we want to know. Now, here's your take here on why you're not sharing your religious views. But my thing is, okay, you're an agnostic, a postmodernist. I know TBS kind of has Buddhist leanings. I don't know if you share that with him, or he's like an atheistic Buddhist. I've heard some things like that he's kind of into that. But we need to know where you're coming from to have a dialogue. Now, here's your response. Here's your way of getting out of it. Okay, with us presuppositionalists. Here's your way of getting out of it.
Without knowing my religious affiliation. And if your approach wasn't limited to only starting that dialogue with my supposed religious presuppositions, we could have had a really good live discussion. I would have loved to have joined in this discussion with you both, but you both refused. So
I bet you would have loved it, Noah, but we wouldn't know what you're basing all these. You're trying to show internal inconsistencies with the presuppositionalist view. Okay, let's say you've shown that true. Now where do we go? Okay, now you're going to bring in agnosticism to that. You're going to substitute that for agnosticism. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what they would say, but that's what I would say. I would go, you're going to substitute the Christian worldview for agnosticism. Okay, well I will. The agnostic view is a book, and the atheist view, metaphysical naturalism, postmodernism. If you're going to go that way, if you're going to push that, all those are just 100 times worse than the Christian worldview. So anyway, let's keep going on here.
This. Here's a very direct answer for you. It's none of your business what my personal religious views are. I'm not obligated to tell you a single thing about what I take to be some of my most cherished beliefs. Granted, I have a couple videos where I sort of open up about it, enough that you could probably peg me with a label, and in fact you did, so I'll just run with it. But honestly, like, to me, opening up to a presupper about what I take to be my place in the cosmos is sort of like opening up to a crack whore about how I fell in love with my wife. Like, seriously, I feel dirty just telling you.
Okay. So opening up to us about your religious beliefs is like talking to a crack whore about how you fell in love with your wife. Okay. You know what that sounds like to me, Noah? It sounds like Mr. Dawkins. It sounds like YouTube. You're sounding like YouTube atheists, the YouTube atheist doofus posse. And you're talking about ad homs. You're calling us crackheads. You're equating us with crackheads. And you're complaining about ad homs earlier in the video. Sounds like Dawkins to me there, Mr. Noah, about I will only debate a bishop. I don't waste time on these creationists. As a dodge to not debate William Lane Craig, Dr. William Lane Craig. That's what it sounds like to me. You're being a coward. That's what's going on here. That's called the dodge. Okay, so if you want to get in the game, you have to be on a team. Yes, we can talk about you want to talk about football? No, I'll talk about football with you. I want to know what team you root for. That's a part of the discussion, isn't it? Just on that level. So, of course, on the most deepest level of what we believe, if we're going to dialogue on that level, we want to know what you believe. I want to know what you believe so that I can say, okay, I do personally see some issues in the Christian worldview from time to time. I think, there's issues there. But when I go to other worldviews, I see 100 times worse things going on there. That's what I'm saying. So I want to know, okay, so what are you offering? What are you offering? That's why we want to know. That's why I want to know the presuppositions in your own personal religious beliefs if we're going to dialogue about those things. And that's probably why James White and them want to know. I don't know if they see internal, if they have issues with the Christian worldview. I am certain that Jesus is the Christ, that he is the Son of God. I'm certain as I can be as a human being that he is the Son of God, that he is expression of the love of God to us on earth and the message of the cross and the gospel. Now there's other issues that I think sometimes, what about this? Or some things in the Old Testament I read, I go, wow, what's going on there? That doesn't make sense. But when I go into metaphysical naturalism, empirical verificationism, agnosticism, or postmodernism, I see just a world of smoke. It's just an oblivion. It's like what to me, people, when atheists, they tell me to reject Christianity. It's like saying the earth, it's an evil place to live. It's a bad place for humans to live because there's volcanoes and earthquakes and there's tsunamis and there's famines and there's deserts and most of the earth is water. So what we should do, we need to leave Earth and go live in outer space where there's no epistemological air, there's no moral gravity, and you stand on nothing. You're standing on nothing. That's why I want to know. That's why presuppositionalists want to know. It's not to peg you with a label. It's to understand where you're coming from. Okay, man? So again, I hope you're not offended by my snarkiness, but you were pretty snarky in here and calling us, equating us with crackheads. Plus, I don't have a beard. Okay, I'm not one of those presuppositionalists that you talked about. I'm clean shaven. Actually, I do need to shave today. But I think you're real smart, Noah. And I think you've been influenced by TBS a lot. And I think he's real smart too. I think he's a real smart guy as a person who hasn't studied philosophy in college. I'm certain he hasn't. But he knows a lot as an amateur, so to speak. And he has a real great way of putting things. And he's a really good actor. And he's a real amiable, fun attractive personality. I can tell from his videos, and I've seen him on TV, and he's a great actor as well. I'm sure his crew loves him. Okay, but as far as some other things that he says, I think he's way off, and I think you're way off on this. But anyway, all right, my friends. So hope you have a good day, and I hope you watch this, and I hope you take it with the right spirit, and hopefully I'll see you this month. All right.